And since then, I've seen this man be hit with challenges. I've seen him on the brink of hard times. I've seen him almost at the point of giving up, but I've seen him keep his eyes on Jesus each and every single time. And I am absolutely honored and privileged to call up my brother Shane Gorry. You know, legend has it that old Shano has a bit of a voice on him. And he might have a little something more than just a testimony for us tonight. So, Shano, thanks for everything, my brother.
So many times you reached out to me, but I turned my back 'cause I didn't think you had what I need. And now you're everything to me. And I can't be without you, God. You're everything. And I want to say thank you. I was lost and you found me. I was dead inside and you breathed into me. And you brought these bones to life. I want to say thank you. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for loving me unconditionally, God. You stood with open arms, but I ran away, 'cause I was scared of the pain that came with trust. Oh, but I came running back into your embrace, because I knew you'd still be there. You'd never leave me, God. I want to say thank you. I was lost and you found me. I was dead inside and you breathed into me. And you brought these bones to life. I want to say thank you. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for loving me unconditionally, God. I don't deserve you. You're God. I don't deserve you. You're God. But you keep on loving me anyway. Oh, you never stop loving me, God. I want to say thank you. I was lost and you found me. I was dead inside and you breathed into me. And you brought these bones to life. I want to say thank you. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for loving me unconditionally, God. Oh, thank you. You see, I think I think everyone here has something in their heart to thank God for, you know. No matter what it is, like even, it's an everyday thing that we say to ourselves, oh, thank God. Or we're like, oh God. That's, you don't know, like, you're thanking Him. Subconsciously, unknown to yourself, you're thanking Him. And I think probably the first time I thanked God, it was my first encounter with God. I was only about 14 or 15. And I remember my dad sat me down and he had a chat with me. And he told me that God took the cancer from his lung. And it was a miracle, you know. And I remember I was only a child, 14-ish. And I was took back by that. That was my real first encounter with God. I was took back as a child and I felt the love. I felt the love of God, and I can't ever forget it. And I started crying that day, that night. And I was thinking, there was a reason behind it all, but as a child, you think a lot of things, and you didn't like, I had the big bad world ahead of me. Little did I know what was ahead of me, but something changed in my heart that night. I knew there was a God in my heart. Growing up, I already heard about God. In school, we had religion. They didn't teach about the God that heals, the God that does miracles, the God that loves. That wasn't what we were taught in school. We were robbed, as Martha said, we were robbed in school. You know, we were taught about different religions. I think the closest thing to Christianity that we were taught was about Mary and Joseph and Jesus in the stables, like a Christmas night. That was it. And that was where it was parked off. We were forced to go to church. We felt a chore going to church. We were happy that we got to get out of school. But when we got into the church, we were like only kids. Like we didn't want to be there. But I want to be here today. Yeah. So talk a bit about me growing up before I met Jesus, before I knew who Jesus was. Didn't know who I was at all. I didn't know who Shane really was. I was looking everywhere to find out who Shane was. In school, I was looking, escaping what was going on. I had a lot of stuff going on inside me, and I was escaping. And the only way I could escape that age was acting out in school, making life hard for my mum and dad at home, trying to get attention off teachers, attention off friends. They ended up laughing at me, not with me. It took me a long time to realise that, though. And then, I think I was, going into 5th year, getting ready for my leaving cert. I started getting a bit of freedom. Ma let off the leash a small bit, so she did. But, started going down the wrong path, getting introduced to the wrong things, but being very sneaky with them, because I knew what would happen if my ma and dad found out. I'd disappoint them, not so more like that there'd be consequences, just I'd disappoint them, and I didn't want to disappoint them. So, yeah, I was like living two lives for a long time, and I didn't want them to know who I thought I was. And that's the thing, thought. I thought very wrong. I tried so many things to find out who I was. I tried drugs, I tried relationships, I tried jobs. I got introduced to cannabis just as I was on the verge of leaving school. Took a grip to it, and then took a grip to cocaine then after that. And then I figured out there's more to it. See, I'm trying to keep it PG-13 here. But yeah, I ended up going down a road of crime to get free drugs, basically. And then I was sick of it. I started getting in trouble by the guards, started getting in trouble by the law, started getting my house turned inside out by the guards looking for drugs. And that came with an image. I thought, oh, grand, I'm a big lad now. Little did I know how everything was crumbling before me, before I even realised. And I got sick of it all. And I joined the army, went to the army, and image grew again. I did take a step away from the drugs for a while, but that for a while, and I started getting money, and the image grew, and yeah, and it just got worse and worse. I was living two lives still. this guy that was in the army, Monday to Friday, this wannabe gangster, Friday to Sunday. And that was my week. Monday to Friday in the army. Friday, Saturday, going home, spending my wages, taking drugs. All day Sunday, drinking cranberry juice and water to try to flush the drugs out of my body in case we got a drug tested Monday morning. That was no way to be living life at all. On that train up to Galway every Sunday evening, depression is the only word I could describe what my life was at the time. And then the minute I get into I had to leave all them feelings at the gate of the Galway barracks. Couldn't bring them in with me. But I left them there till the next Friday. And I brought them back to Tullamore with me then every Friday. That didn't last too long though. That didn't last too long at all. I was going up to Galway one Christmas. I had a car. And I was on my Christmas holidays. And the only reason I was going up was for crime. For drugs, to give drugs to lads up there, because it was a Christmas party. And on the way up, I ran into a checkpoint. And never forget, my heart dropped. Going into the checkpoint. Had my army, I used to always go around with my army uniform on me, even when I was never working. Just thinking that, I'll get away with this, because I'm in my army uniform. But ran into the checkpoint, the guards tested me for drugs, tested positive. They brought me down to the Garda station, they took my bloods, and they dropped me back to my car then, surprisingly enough. And I drove back to Tullamore that night, and every bit of drugs that I had on me, I took them. The drugs that were originally meant to be given to the lads, I took them all that night. And that was the start of my spiral down into an active role of drug addiction. I didn't know what a drug addict was there. During this phase, I just thought it was normal. Because unfortunately, society normalizes drugs these days, which is sad. But soon they're going to normalize Jesus. I went to the army and I told the army, look, I have a drug problem, I need help. I had to swallow my pride. And they turned it back in my face. They didn't give me the help I needed. They sent me to a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist says, you're grand, basically, you're grand. And I was like, okay. So I went back to the army, went back to work, and then my court case came. I got banned off the road for a year and I got a fine. And the army washed their hands of me then. They didn't want to help me. They threw me out. They discharged me. And for a long time I left the army. It wasn't for me. Probably still today, some days, some people would say to me, oh, you're not in the army anymore. And they know I got fed up of it. But now I'm sooner coming to it, like, I don't care. Yeah, drugs got me chucked out of the army, like, it got me kicked out. But it is what it is, I can accept it today. When I got kicked out of the army, I think life went downhill very, very quickly. Because I built up a big rebellious attitude towards the government, towards everyone, towards the guards, because I went to the army for help, and they didn't help me. And then they threw me out, like, it's not, it left me with, there was things there that, that's personal anyway. But so I was out of the army back home with my tail between my legs. I didn't know what to do with my life, and went deeper back into crime than I ever did. When I say crime, I just mean doing silly things for free drugs. That's my version of crime. I've never gone like, that was my version of crime. But and then eventually I got sick of that as well. But I didn't do anything about it. I was still dibbling and dabbling, doing this, doing that. But inside I was crumbling. I was on my knees, and God seen it. Jesus seen that I was on my knees. I was always, people say I was a religious person, but I always believed, ever since that encounter, when I seen what God done to my father, I always knew there is something more than this. That this isn't always going to be it. There is a God, I'm covered. Even as a child growing up messing, even during my drug days, I'd be like, it's grand, it's not always going to be like this. But this time was different. I got myself in a state of mind that drugs is going to be my life. There's no way out of this for me. And I was on the verge of accepting that. And accepting that I am either going to die or going to go to jail over the way I'm living my life. And then God came into my life, but he came into my life in the form of music. One day, I don't know what came upon me, but this idea to make a song came upon me, and I went and I made the song, and I'm like, right. I think every song I made, I mentioned God in it, thanking God. Just God was mentioned in my song, so I knew, all right, this is a gift. So I took a step away from the drugs and started focusing on my music a bit, because like there was a possibility I could make something of my life with this music, with the gift I have, because it made me feel good. And the enemy crept in and he used the music and threw back in my face. How? I'll tell you how. Music started doing very well on social media. People talking, people going around town. A lot of people were sharing my music. It was getting thousands of views. And pride crept in. And I said this a few weeks ago, pride will get you killed. And pride crept in, and I started getting proud. Oh yeah, music's doing good. Yeah, this, that, and the other. So I says, right, I deserve an old session. I deserve an old night out. I'm after getting such and such many listens on this song. I might as well go out and go on the beer, go on the party. Next thing I know, I'm back at it. This only time I have the image that I can do this. I can start dibbling and dabbling in drugs again. Because the guards will never know because I'm doing music. If they look me up on Facebook, they're going to see that, oh, I'm doing music. Because I wasn't wanting to talk about people like your stereotypical rapper these days or glorifying drugs and that. I wasn't. What I was doing, I was glorifying the pain of drugs through my music. While still using drugs, I was talking about the pain. Glorifying pain, that makes sense. That doesn't it, yeah? I was talking about the pain and the reality of what I was doing in a weird way that people understood. But then I went back down the rabbit hole of drugs again, doing whatever for free drugs. And then, back quickly, within no time, I was on my knees again. I was living with my cousin this stage, my cousin and her 6-year-old daughter. And I was on the way up there one day in a taxi, and I got a message on my phone. This was in October 2020, about 2 years ago. And I got a message on the phone saying, Shane, the guards are up here, turning the house inside out. Now take into consideration, I wasn't living at home with my mother this time, where previously I got the same thing happen to that house. The guards came and turned it inside out and all that. And that hurt me because it's my own mother. But my cousin done it out of kindness. She took me into her house during a time that I couldn't really be in my mother's house. So for the guards to come in and the feeling of guilt and the shame that was in my body that time, knowing what I brought to her house, thankfully, her daughter wasn't in the house that night, so it made the blow that small bit easier, but it was still rough. And that's when I knew, right, this needs to stop right now. Because that night, how do I say this? I should have went to jail that night, but I think the guards that were working weren't on the ball. They weren't, you know, or the grace of God was more intact. One or the other. Right. So, so the next day I rang Gorry Treatment Centre. I swallowed my pride and I says, right, look what I'm doing, look what's happening over how much I need drugs, need drugs, look what's happening, look what the side effects, look what the consequences are. So I realised, yeah, okay, I do have a drug problem, because look what's happening. I had to take a step out and look from outside, and I was like, okay, yeah, things are hectic. 24, I think what was it, 23 or 24 years of age. I had that gift of music, that can go in a second. God can take that away just as quickly as he gave it to me. It's like, I had this thing in my head is, if your father gives you a Christmas present, he's not going to take it back off you. But if your father gave you a Christmas present and he gave you a car as a Christmas present and you started abusing that car and drifting it, he's going to take that car back off you. If you start abusing the gift, he'll take it off you. So I had to quickly, all right, nip it in the bud, go to treatment, while I still had a chance to do something with my life, before it got too late. So I went into treatment December 21st, 2020. One of the best days of my life. Went in, swallowed my pride. I was in detox for Christmas. I was in there for 2 weeks. I was in detox for Christmas with another guy. It wasn't too bad, but it was, I won't lie to you, I was delighted. Give my phone up, won't see that phone for 5 months. And my ma said it to me, she's like, Shane, you're going to have to do a lot of talking down there. And anyone that knows me, I can talk. I can talk. But what I was talking about was the nitty-gritty stuff, the stuff that was going on, where it all started, the feelings, how I managed my feelings, why did I turn to drugs to cope with my feelings, and all this stuff. Yeah, it was hard. There was a lot of tears shed down in treatment. But there was a significant day in treatment. I was chatting to Martin Mills there. Yeah, Martin Mills. I got put in a room with Martin. God worked that one out because it was ideal. And he started saying about this church, talking about the church and talking about Dan and Nathan. And I was like, oh yeah. He went to pray for me a few months ago. I said, go out with that. Which is true because I was in the height of it. I just wanted to go about let me use drugs in peace. Do you know what I mean? That's where my head was. And then, that was good. I remember John Edwards then was in the square one day, and he came up, and my ma was chatting to him, got his book, and he came up to me and he was like, can I pray for you? Nope, no. I have to go back into work there in 10 minutes, and I had a full hour left, but I said no. So all these things started coming back into my head. I was like, okay. So I done one step at a time. I got my ma to send me down John Edwards' Walking Free book. Got my dad to send me down the Bible. And I wrote a letter to Dan Cunningham. And that was me saying, right, God, that was me putting into action, right? I know I had a gift. I know I had the music, right? So I was like, all right, I'll run with that. I'm going to run it. God gave me a gift of music. I'm going to run with it. Little did I know what the snowball effect of just taking a step into his kingdom. Got out of treatment. Actually, go back a bit, bring it back a bit. I was in treatment one Sunday and we started going to church. Catholic church, yeah? But it is what it is. It's all the one. You know, well, it's not all the one. Let me bring it back. It's not all the one. But I started hearing like there was bits of gospel, right? Bits of the story out of the Bible. And surprisingly enough, because I had the Bible back in the room, so anything that was coming into the Bible, I was like, oh, interesting. Like, the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John was really the main ones that were there. But there was something said one day, I can't remember, but it struck me in the heart. I looked up, and this is honest, right? There was a crucifix. It's like the lip. See the lip there? I was sitting right. If the crucifix fell, I would have. So I knew then, right? I knew then, right? I get it. I hear you, God. I hear you. All right. So I went back, and every night, every morning, I was on my knees. I was praying for wisdom and understanding of the plan. That's because I knew there was a purpose. We were doing boards. We were doing in our meetings and treatment. We were doing like purposes of our life and etc. And I was just like, all right, God, you have a purpose for me. Give me understanding of it. So I left there, came into this church, met Rory, met Pastor Gavin and Pastor Wendy. Everyone here is great. It's like a family, you know. But especially Pastor Gavin and Pastor Wendy, the way they took me under the wing. And just love you guys. And so let's bring it back then. My first day I was in church, left church, rang my father. Dad, someplace out there, oh my God. So the next week, my father comes. We've been here every Sunday since. Well, bar one, I missed one. But God's grace. And then, we'll get to that. Right? So, so now it's going to get a bit more serious now, right? So I got baptized last October. Me and my dad got baptized on the same day, just under a year ago. But I let my guard down. I was told by people in the church, leaders of the church, Shane, you have a calling on your life. The enemy is going to attack you. I should have got all the tattoos I have. I should have got that to remind myself that he's gonna come at me, you know. I got baptized and I took my foot off the pedal, or I let my guard down. I was like, I'm grand. I'm saved. He who the Son sets free is free indeed. I am saved. The day after I got baptized, was a Monday morning, and I was sick of life. I was sick of the things life was throwing at me. And the enemy put a lie into my head. He says, Shane, if you die now, you're going to heaven. You're saved. You got baptized yesterday. Long story short, the day after I got baptized, I had a rope around my neck and I was ready to end my life. And crying. I wasn't feeling like I was feeling sorry for myself because I didn't want to be here and wanted to be in heaven. And heaven would be better than the way things are now. And then I just got a flash image in my head. I won't go into the image, but it was enough to like take the rope off my neck and ring Rory and cry and say everything as it is and swallow my pride once again. I made your life hardship that day, Rory. I'm sorry, bro. But that was another mountain I got over. And that situation is another way that the enemy can't attack me that way anymore. Because once he tries different way, you've been there, done that, try a different way. And eventually he's going to have no ways. But every day I have to have my guard up because he's a liar. He's a liar and he's deceiving. But we're not glorifying him, we're glorifying Christ Jesus who saved me. So, after I got baptized then, I started getting more involved in church. I started getting involved in the young adults. And then I got the opportunity to rap. Me and Kira done a song here one day. I was like, all right, nice one. God, this is how you're going. I was thinking, how's God going to use my music? How am I going to rap for God? Then I found out, there's Christian rappers. Okay, so it's possible. So, start getting involved. But I had one foot in, one foot out. I was sitting on the fence, the kingdom this side, the world this side. And I was in I was sitting there for a long time. Not a long time, a few months. I went to Bible College of Wales in February. And that's where I come off that fence. I had no choice. If I didn't come off the fence, I would have been ringing Ryanair. But you know, so I had no choice. I had to get into the kingdom and get into it full. And that's where, when I was in the Bible College of Wales, game changer. Some say that God put me in the express lane. Others say I love God. I think the both of them are right. I do love God, and I believe that He sees my heart, and He brought me in. He brought me in with open arms. And same with Pastor Gavin, Pastor Wendy, they brought me in with open arms. Rory and Dee Dee, brothers and sisters. Dan and Kira, brothers and sisters. Josiah, Robin, brothers and sisters. You're all brothers and sisters. But what I'm saying is, right, this is what I'm saying to you. It's a testimony night for a reason. You're after hearing, I'm not up here lying. I'm up here telling you what God's done in my life. So I mean, I was in the pits of drug addiction, pits of depression, not wanting to be alive, accepting drugs to be my life, and then God came in. Maybe He might not have come in as I thought He would come in. I thought like I'm going to be in my bedroom and the roof's going to open up and He's going, oh, here I am. No, He came in with the form of music. He comes in through your heart. You'll see Him in things, but He comes in through your heart. It started off having God in the brain, but once you have Him in your heart, that's when you can start actually having a relationship with Him. That brings me up today, like, you know, I got out of the Bible college there, and I think it was May. Was it May or August? No, February. March, April, yeah, May, yeah. And coming back, like, it was... Amen. But coming back, it's been good. It's like, it's been challenging. Like, I'm seeing things different. Like, the eyes of my heart are opened. I didn't know it. Eyes of my heart go away. You're mad. What are the eyes of your heart? I know what the eyes of your heart is. You're seeing things. You're seeing pain. You're seeing. Yeah, if you're a Christian, you understand. Like, you can see the eyes of your heart. The scales are removed off your eyes, and you're being more vigilant. What I'm looking at on Facebook, I have to be like, nah, that's no good for me. You know what I mean? Certain situations that I put myself into, I can't put myself into them anymore because it'll affect my walk with Christ. A walk that I'm taking serious. A walk that I know is going to be a domino effect. Because there's been a domino effect to me. I'm only one of the dominoes. There's plenty more to come after me. Amen. And I can't wait to see them falling. That's kind of my testimony there. It brings me up to today, you know. Like, it's a testimony night for a reason. The three of us have been sharing what God's done in our life, how God's affected our life. So, I'm going to ask the leaders to come up. Pastor Gavin, Pastor Wendy, Rory, Dee Dee. I said I wasn't going to list them up, but I'm going to. Rory, Dee Dee, Robin, Jose, Dolan, Shelley, Dan and Kara, you're more than welcome to come up. What we're going to do is, anyone here that doesn't know the Lord, or that wants to know the Lord, or that wants a refreshing of his fire, that wants an encounter, that wants to feel his love, if you want to know God, if you want peace in your life, healing in your life, come up and we'll pray for you. It won't be us, it'll be God through us. And we're trusting that something is going to happen here tonight, if it hasn't happened already. We serve a God who comes into our life, not just for a moment. It might feel like a moment, but he's in our heart and he's there forever. It's up to us whether we shy away. I shied away from him for a long time, and I don't want to do it anymore, because his love endures forever. That's what the word says. He who the Son sets free is free indeed. If you want to be freed by something in life, come forward and get one of us to pray for you. I close in a prayer. Father God, thanks for tonight. Thanks for the speakers. Thanks for the congregation. Thanks for the worship team, Lord. Thanks for the families of brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers that you've brought into this room tonight, Lord. And may your word sit in many of their hearts. May they leave here with knowledge that they didn't come in here with. May they leave here with wisdom that they didn't come in here with. Lord, may they leave here with you in their hearts, Lord, please. We ask this in Jesus' name.